Welcome to Game Changers with Molly Fletcher, where we take you behind the scenes with peak performers to learn what makes them tick and discover how you can apply their lessons to your life. I'm your host, Molly Fletcher. Today's guest is Academy Award-winning actor who starred in movies like Dazed and Confused, A Time to Kill, Dallas Buyers Club, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, and The Wolf of Wall Street. Matthew McConaughey's incredible career has spanned 40 feature films that have grossed over $1 billion. Off-screen, Matthew is the founder of the Keep Living Foundation, a creative director for Wild Turkey, and the Minister of Culture for the University of Texas and City of Austin. He's also a die-hard sports fan, which I love, and part-time owner of the new MLS franchise, Austin FC. Now he's adding author to his credits with his new memoir, Greenlights, which is, by the way, #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. Filled with personal stories, unconventional wisdom, and lessons learned the hard way. It's a book you won't want to put down. Matthew calls it a love letter to life. How cool. All right. Let's dig in. Here's my conversation with Matthew McConaughey. Matthew McConaughey, what a treat to have you on. Thank you for taking a minute. Let's have fun.
Let's have some fun, Molly. Thanks for having me.
Let's have some fun. All right, so first, congrats on the book. I mean, it's #1, like everywhere, which is just awesome.
Yeah, I just found that out. You know, that was a hope, but not a guarantee. And I'm just happy that it's translating to people in the way that it is, and it's gotten a wonderful reception, which gives me a lot of honor and gratitude.
Well, it's awesome. I told you before we hit record, I couldn't put it down. You know, the stories, the humor, the message, I love it. And so for our listeners, right, Greenlight, it's a bit of a collage, right? Like you kind of call it a playbook.
Yes.
And it's based on your journal. So tell us, do you remember when you started journaling and, you know, what surprised you most as you sort of went back and looked in that rearview mirror?
Sure. So I started journaling around 14, and I started journaling initially for the same reasons probably most people journal. Gretchen broke up with me. Why'd she break up with me? Why do I have these pimples on my face? What's going on? Why do I feel awkward? Blah, 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 blah. I then continued to journal and started to write creative stories and things. And then around my early 20s, I remember I was in college. I had a good job. I had successful relationships. I was making grades. I was very excited about life and the way I was engaging it. And I remember taking a pause and going, hey, you haven't written in your journal lately. And I remember going, I think it'd be a good idea for you to continue writing in your journals while you feel like you're doing really well, while you're really happy and finding success and feel like you're really on your frequency, Matthew. And I'm glad I did, because my hunch was right. I later got in other ruts or lost my frequency and got out of my green light times. And I was able to go back to my journal and go, what was I doing back then when the world felt like a green light? What were my habits? Who was I hanging out with? Where was I going? What was I eating? Drinking? How much sleep was I getting? How was I greeting the day? And going back to those times where I call it dissecting success rather than only failure, I was able to recalibrate and get back on track in times that I need. As far as reading it, what did I learn? Look, I felt like I was going to go back and look at my 36 years of writing and be quite embarrassed about some things. I thought I was going to be ashamed about some things. I thought I was going to look at myself at times and go, you arrogant little PRICK. All three of those were true. I felt those. But a lot of the embarrassment stuff I thought I'd be embarrassed about, I laughed at. A lot of the stuff that I thought I'd be ashamed of, I had already forgiven myself or forgave myself for. And a lot of those times I was an arrogant PRICK. I was like, I saw in my diaries that very soon after those times of feeling like I knew it all, I stumbled because of that and learned something very soon afterwards. So I was able to laugh and go, well, at least you had the courage to feel like you knew it all at that time. And you put yourself in the game. Sometimes those arrogant moments in our life at least get us in the game to think. that we wouldn't have maybe had the courage to even get into if we didn't feel that way. So, and then the fourth thing is that I noticed by my surprise that I was interested in the same subject matter about life and who are we in it and how can I be my better self, more true self. I was interested in the same thing at 14 as I am at 50.
That's powerful.
I was surprised at that.
That's powerful because who you are at 14 is a little bit more raw, right? I mean, at some level.
Sure. But
yeah.
I mean, my thoughts and my interest and my questions and my answers are much more evolved now.
Sure.
But I'm still still questioning the same things, Who are we? What's the best way to be the most myself? What works for me? What doesn't? I mean, I've eliminated a lot of things in my life that don't give me true green lights, but it doesn't raise any fewer questions going forward. I have more questions now than I had then.
Probably from perspective at some level, maybe, right?
Yes, that's what I mean by more evolved questions. I have a lot more perspective, a lot more experience. I know better ways to skin certain cats, so to speak. But perspective doesn't ever, for me anyway, and I think it's true for all of us, we don't evolve to a place where we go, ta-da, I got it. Right. Oh, that's it. I landed. That's what I've been looking for. Sure. All right, good night. There's no good night, So you reach something, you reach a goal, or you get what you want. You only land there briefly before brand new ambitions or brand new questions come out of that.
I've learned a lot about you as I've prepared for our time together. And of course, over the years, you strike me, Matthew, as someone who is always curious about growth. And you talked about that a minute ago, always looking for ways to improve, always looking for ways to get better. Was Greenlights a way for you to almost look back so you could look forward?
Yeah, and I'm not comfortable looking back. In my life, I like to do it, go forward, what's next? I mean, I have not even seen all of my movies. I like making more than I like watching them. I'm like, no, I did it. Let's go. If I'm flipping through the channels and a movie of mine's on, I very rarely stop to have a look at it. I don't go back and watch my interviews. I don't watch my late night shows. I did that. I was there. I liked it in the first person. I don't want to look back at it. What's next? Sometimes it's even uncomfortable to do so. But going back on this, it's why I didn't really feel nostalgic. And I write about that in the book. I feel more clear about where I'm heading in my future now because I really investigated my past. And if I have an understanding of how I got here, my lineage, and have a better understanding of that, and an idea of where I want to go, I'm much more equipped to be present in the present here and now situation. I even more so than just when I write in the book, I wrote things down so I could forget, not remember.
I love that line. Yeah.
Well, I found out that I actually remembered more than I forgot. Even sometimes subconsciously, things that I was like, I never even remember thinking about that goal, but I attained it. Well, obviously I remembered it subconsciously, even though I never looked at it again or thought of it as something I was consciously chasing.
As somebody that's always moving to the next thing, did the book help you celebrate at some level your successes and sort of appreciate those?
That's a good question. The book, and then news, like just finding out #1 New York Times bestseller. It didn't make me feel like, oh, let's go light the candles and party all night. And going back through it, of dissecting some of those successes and seeing where I pulled off some humdingers.
Sure.
It made me realize that, oh, you know what? As much as I tell myself, hey, daily, Matthew, you got to take more risks. You got to risk failing more. I look back and go, you've taken quite a few risks. Good. Yeah, you know what? You didn't. I didn't realize I had taken so many risks in my life. Many failed at, many succeeded at. But I didn't realize that, oh, you've actually been a pretty solid risk taker. Not to the point where I'm complacent now going, oh, no more risk. No, now I want to take even more and bigger. But yeah, I probably noticed that I took more risk and pulled more things off than I actually remembered I did.
Do you think, Matthew, you're comfortable with risk because you've seen yourself in the past take risks and recover, and that you come out a better person by stepping into those moments and coming out better?
I have learned this, that through the book, I have many times where I go on a walkabout to go check in with myself, or I had a year long where I almost went insane in Australia. I have learned now, if I get in a rut, or now I run into a proverbial red light, or I fail at something, I have the reassurance that, oh, this is not a defining moment. I pulled a lot of stuff off just by being resilient and out enduring others who were competing to get the same thing. I know a lot of my risk and rewards from taking the risk have come from just basically out hustling and staying in the game longer. You're just going, I don't know the answer, just show up again. I don't know the answer, knock on the door. They said no yesterday. Well, hell, maybe they're in a better mood to knock on the door. All they can do is say no again. And all of a sudden they're like, hey.
You're back, man.
Morning. Yesterday you weren't having a good, and the answer is yes. All of a sudden, hey. So persistence has gotten me a lot. I've also tried to learn through age and still do is that sometimes it's not always about persistence. Sometimes we're banging our head against the wall trying to get the wrong thing. And we're out the definition of insanity, doing the same thing, trying to get a different outcome. So I've learned that, hey, sometimes let's just back off. Let's go a little more Eastern with it. Let me reapproach this situation from a different angle. Let me have a new perspective in how I'm looking at it. And sometimes that comes from me. Sometimes that comes from someone else going, hey, have you thought of it this way? And I've learned this. I love to be in the know about what I don't know.
So you're curious.
Yes.
Yeah, you're always curious.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. One of the themes that shines throughout the book that I just love is this idea of don't half-ass it. When you say that, don't half-ass it. You talk about preparation and process a lot. And I obviously saw this a ton with athletes. Tell me, can you get me inside of how you prepare as an actor?
Yeah. So all my work is in pre-production. It's very much like an athlete. When an athlete shows up on the proverbial field and it's game time, it's not time to be thinking. It's time to be playing, and your instincts should take over. Get a feel for the moment. You know what to do, but if you know enough of what to do and you're so secure in your position, you can audibly call different plays in your own mind for what the other team's doing in any given situation. It's be in context of the time on the clock. It's context of what quarter it is, what hole it is on the golf course, what round it is, what period it is. It's having all context without having to actually compartmentalize them into different places at once. Know in the moment, being able to do what you do well, but also play against someone who's trying to give you quite a resistance and trying to stop you from doing what you do well.
Sure.
So for me, I start off, usually I like a couple of months at least advance. I sit back and take in the script. I try to let what's on the page inform me before I let my imagination go anywhere. Let me really see who my man is, my character is, and in this story, what do I need? Who am I? What are my obstacles to overcome? Then it starts to get the work becomes a little more fun after a couple of weeks. I will, in that way of reapproaching, I'll read the script 4 a.m. when I wake up. I'll read the script after church in the church pew. I'll read the script at 2 a.m. on a Saturday night after I've been partying.
Mm-hmm.
I'll read the script after a good run when my endorphins are high and I'm on it. I'll try and read it when I'm really sleepy. So I'm reading, and each time I'm picking up different things from the playbook that is the script. I'm seeing it from different angles, and I'm starting to note things. Then I'll start to write and rewrite my character. I'll go long. What my character says. And what those writings are. It's not actually what not like I'm gonna say a whole lot more in the scene, but it's just giving backstory. And hey, I always tell myself, if the take never has cut, if the director never yells cut, be prepared to just keep going forever in any scene. My place I want to get to is, can I know it well enough where you could put a blindfold on me? Take me anywhere. Take me to Mars. I don't care. Dealer's choice. And when you let me out at this new place, be rolling camera, take the blindfold off me, and I should be able to be my man. Not thinking about it. All the thought and the sweat and the hard work is in that early preparation period. So I can go to game time or on the set. I want to be so prepared that I want to have 4 versions of the truth for my man in every single scene.
Tell me about that.
So if the director, if I've got an idea of how a scene's going to go, what my man would do, what my character would do. If the director wants it to go another way, instead of me going like, well, that's not what I want to do. Instead of getting defensive, I'll take what they say and parlay it into one of my 4 versions of the truth that's the most close. And I'll know instinctually, oh, if I give him this version, that's kind of going to give him what he wants, but it's still true for me. Because my only thing I can't do is lie on my man. I can't tell a lie character. So I'll come in loaded for 4 different versions of the truth. That also allows the other actor to do whatever they want. I'm like, you can improv, you can throw me. I don't care if you come flying into this scene in a parachute. Let's roll. Let's do that. I'll play the circumstances. So that's part of the wonderful sort of butterflies of not knowing. I like not knowing. I come in extremely secure with my playbook. I've studied the playbook. I know what I want to do. So I'm very solid in my 2-point stance here, right? I'm ready.
Yeah.
But I've learned to do this now so I don't get stuck in what I want to do. Now that I trust that I know it all, come into every scene on one leg, off balance. And now find your balance in the scene. Because the verb, the action, when you see life come off camera, it's not somebody absolutely being so secure that they know exactly what it is. That's a noun. There's validity to that. And it's beautiful to see a proper noun like that, but it's not alive. You want to see something alive. You want to see someone becoming in a scene, overcoming something in the scene, failing or trying to find their balance and being able to, or trying to find their balance and not being able to. Same thing for players. And I'm going to keep using the football metaphor because it's easy. You don't want your players out there thinking about what they're supposed to do. The thinking was in all the reps in practice. You want what they've learned to have gone into their bodies, loins, ankles, feet instinctually so they can perform at the peak level of the athlete that they are in that given moment with resistance they have to overcome.
Muscle memory.
Yeah, and you see it all the time. A team will get a new DC, defensive coordinator. And they had a really wild, complicated plan. Well, that year, that defense is going to be a half a step slow because they're trying to go, wait, as soon as you did that, you're already that guy's by you. You don't have time to, you don't want I've seen teams that I'm a fan of. I've seen them thinking too much on the field because they were going like, I got to check my arm for that playbook because there's 88 different plays.
Right.
I also think this, and I'd love to have this conversation with you about this, about sports in general right now. It definitely secured itself in professional sports. But in college sports, the 18 to 22-year-old male and female, social media, so many of them are playing the game in the third person, meaning you return the kickoff, you're past the 50, to the 45, to the 40, you're the fastest guy on the field, you're going to make a touchdown, you're already looking at the proverbial Jumbotron
right.
in your mind going, I can't wait to watch this objectively, either right now live on the Jumbotron or after it's done. I want to see it, how I was doing. And when a player and anybody, an athlete, or what I do as an actor, if we get outside of the subjective, get outside of ourselves while we're in the game and start looking at ourselves from, hey, what am I going to look like in the future? Or what's the result of this going to be? Or how many comments or how much is my IG feed going to go up?
Yeah.
We're out of the moment. And that's when you Leon let it.
Yeah.
You go out or you get caught from behind.
Yeah, totally.
Or you play the game. And if we could get the athletes to be the subject and know that they are to be present as the subject in any given situation for 3.5 hours every Saturday,
right?
That cocoon, I think they could play better and be better teams.
Well, and I think too, if they stay focused on, it's not about you, right? It's about your team. It's about your guys. It's about those 11 other guys, those 12 other guys. It's about whatever it is, those 24 other guys. That's what it's about. And I think if they keep that at the center and stay humble in those moments, then they finish the play the way they should based on the preparation that they had.
Yeah. I mean, look, but media feeds us this.
Totally. That
player running that kickoff back at the 35-yard line is already considering in today's athlete's mind, I may be on SportsCenter tonight.
Right.
If I just run in across the goal line and score, it's worth the same amount, but I might just be on the Longhorn Network. But if I start to strut or do something on the 10 and go in and have some style points to it, I might make SportsCenter's best plays. And we reward that. Even if they get the 15-yard penalty on the field, the world rewards that in IG feeds going up, Twitter accounts going up. Oh, you got style. Check this out. And we're rewarded. And it's a real reward because it's actually an equitable reward now. You can get paid for that.
Yeah.
That gave you the 15-yard penalty for unsportsmanlike conduct because you weren't thinking about the team, so it's a very hard art to balance.
What would you tell a young kid, a young 18, 20-year-old kid, right, that is feeling that way? What would you tell him? Or a young actor, right? Or what?
Well, young actors, it's this. It's like I always said, don't play attitude. I mean, we're not playing attitude here. Trust me. If you can, I've got blessed early on with it. I'm trying to maintain a long view. And what I mean by that is this. Look, I'm 50. I know I know my life's impermanent. I know one day I'm going to die. Well, when you're their age, you don't think you're ever going to die.
Right.
Okay? You're living forever, baby. What are you talking?
Right.
What do you mean I will always feel this good and have this.
And they think they're going to play forever too, by the way, right? It's like,
forever.
Dude, it will end.
And I'm going to have a Hall of Fame career.
Totally.
I think if the player or even an actor, and you say, look, trust me, the attitude or the momentary applause, it's like this. It's like the person at the party that you're huddled around and tells the great joke on somebody else at the party behind their back. You laugh. He won the moment or she won the moment. Great gossip. Oh my God, that was great. That was such a great joke. But when you walk away, you lose respect for them.
100%.
Because you're kind of going, well, they be talking about me that way? Blah, blah, blah. And if they're talking, you know what I mean?
Totally.
So you lose a little respect. Now, when I mean the long view, the long story is understanding that it's every action we've taken right now is building the compound assets of our future, of how we are seen, in how we are viewed, how we are respected, how we're not respected, how we're trusted, how we're not trusted, and also what we think of ourselves. It's hard to instill the confidence into young people sometimes. Go, look, you got to think the longer view here. Who are to take on who you are and how you do it, and play. If the goal is to play this game today, as you said it earlier, we talked about being the subjects right there for 3.5 hours. What is the best for you and your team? If that can be paramount, well, then you're going to get on SportsCenter because you win the national championship as a team.
Sure. Yeah.
You're all making it, and you can get that play, and you'll do it in a classy way, and you'll still get the long version. You're not going to get the fad. You won't be don't be a fad. Don't be a hobby. Be a career. Don't rent yourself. Own yourself.
I used to always say to first-round guys that would come up and sit down, and they projected first-round guy, right? I mean, coming out of high school, stud, right? Best kid in the town, whatever, and they're so pumped. They're going to sign for, 7, 8-digit number, whatever it is. And, I used to say, dude, look, we're going to celebrate when you're in the All-Star game. Right. Not right now. We haven't done anything yet.
Right.
You haven't done anything yet. I mean, this is an awesome platform and an amazing opportunity, but let's celebrate at the All-Star game.
Heard. That's
Totally.
it. Yeah. And to always let the reach exceed the grasp. Always be thinking about that long money. Not just in careers in our bank accounts, but what are our choices and who are the human beings that we are each day? Think long money. That's basically what Greenlights is about, is going, what are the choices and actions we can take today that we're going to look forward to looking back tomorrow? That we're going to build, our life is going to have compound assets moving forward in our relationships. And those pay off, but it takes some patience with self, and it takes failing for the right reason. It's, again, rather be a good man than a nice guy.
Yeah. How have you, with your success, known what to say yes to and what to say no to?
Well, let me tell you a little time in my life where I became really successful and got famous over one weekend. It was a time to kill. The Friday before, so film opens, 6 p.m. Friday night. Well, that Friday afternoon, I'm walking the 3rd Street Promenade in Santa Monica. 400 people on the promenade, 396 mind their own business, 4 of them staring at me. A few girls thought I was cute, and one of the dudes liked my shoes. Mm-hmm. Weekend, Time to Kill opens up very well. That Monday, 2 days later, I go down the same street promenade. 400 people on the promenade, now it inverted. 396 people staring at me, 4 people not. And one of them was blind. All right, so all of a sudden the world inverted. At the same token, that Friday before, there was 100 scripts. I was like, I'll do anything to do any of these. And there were no you can't and 1 yes. Cut to the Monday after. Those 100 scripts, 99 yeses, whichever one you want to do, 1 no. All of a sudden, I'm like, wait a minute. 2 days ago, I would have done any of these.
Right.
Do all of these? Whoa. There's only 24 hours in a day. I can't do all of them, but you're telling me I can? How do I get some discernment? I write about this in the book. Look, when you don't know sometimes who we are, what we want to do, that's okay. Don't chase after that. Actually, make it a little easier on yourself. Start eliminating who you're not. Let's figure out the no's. Because the no's, what I'm saying I'm not and I don't want to do, can be much easier sometimes, especially in the beginning, before we get to, yes, I know what it is I want to do and how I want to do it. So eliminate the no's, whether it's who we are in life or the projects we want to do, the things that we go, you know what, that doesn't really feed me. That's not going to be a long-term thing that I'll engage in that will feed, in turn, help me be more of me and help me have success. Eliminate what you're not and what you don't want to do. And by sheer mathematics, you will end up with more things that are true to you that you should say yes to in front of you, because you got rid of a lot of chafe. And that can be people in our lives.
Sure.
That can be places we go. That can be, how we greet people, what our work habits are, all kinds of things.
Where we put our energy.
Yeah.
So overnight this happens, right? But I love how you've talked about rom-coms and how you were like, wait a minute, I'm done with rom-coms. And then these opportunities keep hitting you and they come and they're coming back 10 million, 12 million, 15 million. And you're going, dude, maybe this is interesting. Maybe I need to think about this. And then you still said no.
I'll tell you this story. It's a great story because it was at a time where I'd made very successful romantic comedies. I was the go-to rom-com guy and I loved doing them. They were fun. I was enjoying them. They paid me well, etc. But they got to where I would get the rom-com tonight, and I felt like I could do it tomorrow morning. And that was fine, too. But I was wanting something that was going to make me sweat in my boots a little bit more. I wanted need some more resistance, some more challenge. So I said, well, the movies I want to do, this dramatic fare, no one's offered me that at all. They're not letting me do any of those. So I said, if I can't do what I want to do, I'm going to stop doing what I've been doing. So I said no to the rom-coms. Called my agent, called my business manager, made sure I'd invested my money fine. I cried many a tear on my wife's shoulder. What the hell am I doing? But I got to do it. I think there's a light at the end of this tunnel. I don't know when that'll come, which is a big scary thing. Because I said, now I'm not going to work. I'm not going to do the one thing I'm getting offered in Hollywood to do. How long am I going to go with that work? Well, for the first 6 months, nothing came in but romantic comedies. Nope. I'd read them and just say, nope. This one came in at $5 million. I said, nope. They came back with the same script, $8 million offer. I went, nope. They came back with the same script with a $12 million offer. I went, no, thank you. They came back with a $14.5 million offer. I said, let me read that script again.
Bring that back.
It was better than that script. Was it $5 million?
I bet it was, man.
It was more dramatic. It had better angles. It was funnier. It was the exact same words, but at 14.5, that script read better.
I bet.
It was a better script. Anyway, I swallowed my gut and I said no. Now that sent a glaring signal, I believe, to Hollywood. McConaughey is not bluffing us about no rom-coms. Okay, he's turning up 14.5. He means it. So then what happens over the next 14 months? Nothing comes in. I call my agent every week. What do we got? Nothing, buddy. I'm telling you, nobody's mentioning your name. Not one phone call comes in for you. Nothing. I labored over possible career changes at that time because I had made up my mind I was not going to go back and do more rom-coms at that time. And then all of a sudden, after 20 months of nothing, after being down in Texas and not in Hollywood, after not being seen shirtless on the beach, after not being in your theater or your living room in a rom-com, after being kind of forgotten, where the hell's McConaughey? I have a new and novel good idea for Lincoln Lawyer, Killer Joe, Mud, True Detective, Mike, all those things, and even Dallas Buyers Club. So it was a time of unbranding. It was not a time of rebranding. It was actually a major process of elimination move. I eliminated us. I'm not doing what I don't want to do, and I can't do what I do want to do. So it was a sort of a limbo period. I'd taken a one-way ticket to who knows if I'm going to go back to work. But being gone, out of sight and out of mind, how you had expected and only gotten to know me before, I then became the new good idea and interesting casting choices. An interesting casting choice for those kind of roles I wanted to do that nobody would have done with me 20 months earlier.
That was a hard space to sit in. Tell me about that space that you sat in. did you doubt yourself? Did you struggle with it?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I had many doubts, but my mind was made up. I knew in making the choice that the choice was true for me and my soul. That did not mean it was going to be any easier. That just meant that as much as I bent my back, I knew I was never going to break it. But damn, it was hard. I mean, trust me, my family, my brothers were like, what the hell is wrong with you? Paralysis of analysis right now? Especially where we come from, very, middle income, lower, you get a job. You do a job. There were times where, the days got long. Look over there. A bottle might have a little drink a little earlier today. No, hang on. Here's what I had going for me that helped me sort of keep my eye on the ball here. Camilla and I just had our first newborn son, Levi. So I got a newborn. I talk about this in the book. Man's never more masculine than after his first born. And I don't mean macho. I mean clarity of mind and spirit at the same time. I was falling in love with the woman who's now my wife, who I want to spend the rest of my life with. So as much as I need work and still do for my own self-significance, which I do, I'm confident, and I think, many of us need that. When my mind would wander, I could look at Levi. I could look at my relationship with Camilla and go, if you spend time on that, you can't go wrong. You cannot spend too much time on that.
Right. Amen.
And so that's where I put a lot of my energy. Also, a certain family crisis came along and interrupted my life at that time that needed me to be all hands on deck to help get through it. And as I'm sure you know, a family crisis, a newborn, the death of a loved one, those are three things that will sober anybody up. And I don't mean from the bottom, I just mean in perspective of life.
Sure.
Of like, oh, this thing I'm holding out for, these movies, this not working. That's a distant number 2 right now. I got bigger fish to fry here. So that helped me find purpose in that time.
I've had the opportunity to sit down with more than 100 leaders from all different backgrounds on this podcast, from CEOs to entrepreneurs to athletes, coaches, authors, you name it. So grateful. These conversations have challenged me. They've challenged me to think differently about leadership. So I came up with 7 mindset shifts that we can all make to reimagine our role as leaders. And to take it a step further, here's the thing. I also created a playbook of 7 exercises to accompany each mindset shift. Download it for free at mollyfletcher.com/mindset shifts. Again, that's mollyfletcher.com/mindset shifts. There's a part of the book, and I think in the book where you talk about losing your dad, and where you basically say the less impressed and more involved we become, the better we get. Talk to me about that. Yeah.
So it's a lesson that came to me in the middle of the night, soon after my father had passed away. And, this was one of the green light assets that came out of the red light death of my father. My dad instilled a lot of great values in me. But while he was alive, I'm 22 years old, I'm not really committed to him, partially because subconsciously I understand he's got my back. If the shit really hits a fan, if I fall down, he'll catch me. All of a sudden, he's gone physically. And I'm like, oh, safety net, no more. You better buck up here and start looking the world in the eye and start activating and better man up on this situation yourself, because you don't have that. And that's when less impressed, more involved came to me. What it was I noticed there were things, mortal things on earth, people, fame, success, that I had a great reverence for, almost that I would feel anxiety about. Wow, if I could only. They lowered down to eye level, and I quit looking up at them. Also, at the same time, the things that I noticed in my life, I was patronizing, condescending, sloughing off, looking down upon, going, oh, you're not worthy. Those things rose up to eye level. And I remember going, the world is flat. I see further. I see wider. I see more clear. My head is high. My heart is high. We are walking through this now with more courage and clarity. Let's go on. And that's when I started taking more risk around that time as well. So that's what the less impressed, more involved is. If if we're having a conversation right now and I have such reverence for you, all right, now not having reverence for more things does not mean not having respect for them. But if I have so much reverence for you and I'm like, oh, Molly, you and I can't I can't be involved in this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't, if you had such reverence for me, you wouldn't be able to be involved in this conversation. You wouldn't be able to be present. You'd be anticipating, maybe nervous. You're thinking about the next thing. You're impressed with the situation and not involved in it. So I notice it in relationships as well. You see one person in a relationship puts the other person on a pedestal. That person can't live up to that. And the reflection in that person's eyes puts the other person on a pedestal. So all of a sudden you got like a relationship and you're expecting me to be Superman and I'm expecting you to be Wonder Woman. Neither one of us can live up to it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So it's an impression. We're so impressed, and it's not fair, actually. It's actually detrimental, because where's all the humanity go? Where's the understanding go? Where's the compassion go? Where's the sense of humor go? Where's the forgiveness go? That's when we're involved in a relationship. But boy, and I've done it, and I've had it done to me, where it's a way to doom a great relationship that could work, because someone holds the other up on such a pedestal. And then it's not fair to them because they can't live up to it. And hence not fair to us because we're not involved with them because we're so impressed.
Boy, that is really powerful. That is really cool. I mean, there are so many lines in your book. And I can't encourage people who haven't picked it up yet to pick it up. I mean, it's truly a book you can't put down. The way you pull in the graphics and the images and the quotes and the journaling and your handwriting and
well, I wanted
you nailed it.
Thank you. Because we worked, I wrote the book basically. 90% of the book was written in my 52 days of solitary confinement. But the last year and a half of editing that and then creating with the art direction of what's the reader's interaction with the book. And that was the hope that, I don't know for you, but for me, if I get, an extended amount of nothing but narrative pages that look exactly the same, I can go with it if it's written really well, but I'm looking for something to throw me off my groove a little. I'm looking for a picture or a note or a font or something in bold print to help me, give me a staple or sort of a signifier of where I am in the story or how the writer perceived that situation, which I do a lot in the book. I'll put the narrative to either hopefully give the reader another way to look back at what they just read or give them inertia and energy to send them into where they're about to go. Really fun mixing those around and placing those. Try hopefully in the coolest places.
It's cool. Do you journal now, and how do you approach it? I mean, do you just open it up and go and write?
Now I do it on a phone. I go through notes. 70% of me writing on my phone is writing to myself, putting down notes. Something that someone will say, a way I saw the world, something I'll even malaprop or perception that I'll go, oh, that could have more meaning in more places. I love finding an idea or a one-liner that I go, that could scale out across many different situations. And I want to take that and test that out in life, see what the world does, the reverb back. If I take that and try to apply it in my life, see what I get back, see what my response is. So I'm loaded with notes, and they are throughout the day and then through the middle of the night. And then if I can get the headline down, I'll write them down. I have to do this at dinner all the time. Remind people, I'm not writing someone else that's not here at the table. Trust me, I'll show you in just a second. So I'll write it down, and then I'll go, I'll write, I go, hey, Molly, did you write that? If so, would you sign it? And you read it at the table. You go, oh, I did just say that. Yeah. Okay. Write it down. So it's a continuing sort of thing that's in my hip pocket, really, that I'm writing stuff down.
But what's so cool is you're always curious. And I think if you spend time with people, the people that I have found that are leaders, that are influencers, they're always curious. They're always trying to just, whether they're at the grocery store, whether they're talking to, it doesn't matter who, to your point, it's at eye level, right? It's this curiosity because it helps us grow, and then we can contribute more.
And it's more fun.
Totally. Yeah, for sure.
I've got kids. It's like, I'm bored. I'm like, great. Go work yourself out of boredom. It's a good thing. I promise you. You know what I mean? And I know there's times where I get bored or not curious or complacent. It's usually when I'm tired. I'm like going, you know what, McConaughey, you need some sleep. You need to press reset here. And I'm pretty good at running on fumes too. I can as far as that resilience and endurance, I can go. I can go, but still I have to remind myself, be kind. Let's go to bed early tonight and really catch up, because you're getting a little short circuited. Your comments are maybe have a little too much bite. Maybe you ought to just be quiet in this meeting, because as Abe Lincoln says, let's not open our mouth and prove we're a fool. Let's keep our mouth shut and make them just one.
That's good. So, one of the things you talk about in the book is about how travel and about how humanity, have been your greatest educators, when we think about growth. Tell me more about that. How so?
Common denominator of happiness, as far as I can tell, in all my travels around the world, is having something to look forward to. Have a reason to wake up in the morning, something to work towards, something to build, something, be in architecture and construction on today that we already started working on yesterday and we're going to build tomorrow. That gives itself a sense of self-significance, whether that's a child, whether that's a career, whatever that interest may be, something to build, something to look forward to. I think and I'm guilty of this too, but I think our value system is what we deem excellent, what we give people respect for, what we pat people on the back and say you won the prize for, is a bit out of order these days. Basically, what's the top two, as far as I can tell? Money and fame. You got those, you did it. Well, both of those have their mirage qualities. I've met people with billionaires who are very unhappy people.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Me too. Sure.
I've met some billionaires that are very happy people, but I've met some that are not. Money was not the answer. I've met some people that are famous that are not happy people. And fame is a mirage in itself anyway. It's tryst. Fame is sort of an affair.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
That's an interesting way to put it. Yeah.
It's in some ways, since 1996 and Time to Kill, that I'm famous and that check has been cashed. But my sense of what I'm relevant for is a variable. So I like to ask this question to all of us. We all want relevance. Cool. But let's ask ourselves first, relevant for what? And that leans back into that. You want to be relevant for something that on your deathbed and afterwards, when your eulogy introduces you, that it's going to be sustained, eternal relevance, or something that maybe you should have been embarrassed about, but even though society awarded you for it. Again, it's back to that long money, short money thing. And it's look, and I say this throughout the book, I don't make straight A's in all these things. I'm still learning, still curious. I'm making C's in some of them. I've failed at many of them. I'm in process, dude, like I think all of us are. But I have crossed a lot of truths. I'm going, I don't care if you pull them off or not, Matthew. Know this to be true. So I think we just got to realign a little bit. Hopefully we realign our value system, answer that question weekly of what is it that I value. Our answers will change. A single person's values will change after they have children. That's okay. They will change after the children are out of the house. But to ask ourselves, what is it I really value? And then also, if we can, what are those green lights that are solar powered? Not the ones plugged into little batteries that are going to go out, real soon. What are the ones that are going to go on when we're on our deathbed and after we're gone? Oh, if we can plug into those, that's the honey hole.
That's what do you want your tombstone to say? What do you want people to say about you at your eulogy?
He revered fatherhood. That is one thing I still do revere. I think it's the greatest job in the world and one with responsibility. And my children, all of our children are solar powered green lights.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's the real shadow we leave. That's not a shadow at all. That's when we become immortal. After we've had children. Also, I would say that he was at home in the world, and if God likes a trier, then he likes McConaughey because McConaughey tried.
That's right. I love that. So one of the things you said that fatherhood is the only thing, and you just talked about this, the only thing you always knew you wanted. In fact, you look at your 10 goals in life, and I love how you talk about your 10 goals in life, journal entry from 1992 that you include at the end of the book. Number one is actually become a father, and you just talked about that. How has fatherhood and marriage, how has it changed you?
I'm still adventurous, curious, playful, but if we get fortunate enough to have things in our life that are non-negotiable, most everything in our life's negotiable. You didn't have it, you figure something else out, maybe. We can negotiate. Let's talk about this. You know, don't have to. It's a want. It's not a need. Fatherhood, that's not negotiable. My family's non-negotiable. My wife, Camilla, and I's relationship, that's non-negotiable. Different than relationships I've had before her, where if we fell down before I met Camilla, maybe we weren't going to get up. Maybe that was a sign of, oh, this is not going to work. And it usually was. With her, our relationship is like, we're going to fall down. But, this is the relationship where we can get back up. Okay. Yeah, we get back
cool.
up. You know, fall down again. We'll get back up. So to have things that are non-negotiable, have freed me up to be better at the ones that are negotiable, like my career or my art. I've become better at what I do. I've become a better actor since I've had family, because acting went the number 2 position in my life.
Tell me how that made you better. Is it perspective?
It's a bit freeing. Now, it's only more freeing, though, if you've already got a good work ethic. Meaning, for some people that are listening, you may go, wait, if it was talk sports, let's go back to football. If that's my number 2 priority on the field that day, well, then it doesn't mean as much to me, and I'm not going to do it as well. No, that's what I mean. That's your number 1 priority at the time, and you're actually able, if your family or your faith or whatever are paramount, you will actually be able to better focus on your priority there, because those things, those non-negotiable things, they kind of have your back. They're going to be there. You've built those. They're not going anywhere, win or lose. So I'm going to actually play as more of a winner today because I got that. It doesn't mean I'm going to get more lackadaisical or not study my game plan or play a better game because it's number 2. Is actually, there's power. It gives humility as well. There's actual empowerment in that humility of having things that are negotiable. We get better at. We can be much better at. I have been better at them since I've had family, since I can come home from my work and my kids pop my proverbial bubble of the world I'm in and ask me the silly questions, and I've got to be dad and have some fun and step out of that. But I've learned to trust that when I've understood that now, the next day when I go out to work, I can focus more on my work because my wife lets me know without saying it, we got your back. Don't even look over your shoulder. You go give 100, go hit this one out of the park day by day and know that we got your back. Now, if I'm not secure with that, I'm having trouble being completely focused on my task and my job or on my proverbial playing field. Am I going to have to get out here today? Am I going to have to go handle a lot of more daddy dues? Am I going into the debit section of my relationship because I'm loving my career so much? But thankfully, I've got a relationship with my wife and a family that's like, no, go, and don't turn around. Know we're here. We got your back. So I'm able to focus on my proverbial playing field more so because I have that.
Well, and I would imagine too, Matthew, when you're in the moment with your family, you're pouring it in. You're giving them all you got, right? You're pouring into them so that you've created that platform by which you can step into those other roles and give those all you got. And they want you to because you've poured into them when you can.
Yes. And, there's a bit of a coming off the day into wearing the hat as the father and the husband as well. And that transition is not, I don't have it down. It's not like I walk in the door, I'm like, yep, okay, now I have to come off the day a little bit and hang on before we're playing Bronco Billy. Give me about 15 minutes. Let me take a shower and shake the day off. You know what I mean? Yeah. Popeye, just a minute here. But yeah, because I'm secure in those. And look, I'll tell you, this is a great story. I win Best Actor for Dallas Buyers Club. I win the Oscar. My kids asked me, what'd you get the trophy for? And I remember right when they asked that question, the light went off. I was like, oh, this is a great teaching moment. I said, you remember a year and a half ago when you get up in the morning at 7, Popeye was already gone to work, and he'd come home, and you said he looked like a giraffe because he was so skinny, and we'd sit there and have dinner, and Popeye would have a drink, then y'all go, he'd put you to bed, then he'd stay up and study for a while, and he'd wake up the next morning, he was gone again. I go, you remember that? They go, yeah. I go, well, what Popeye was doing when you didn't see him, he was doing some work that a year and a half later, his peers gave him a trophy for and said, we deem your work the most excellent. And it made them click them into this idea, which I think is very important. for all of us, delayed gratification. It made for the first time they went, oh, they got a sense of time. Oh, you can do something today and get a trophy for it tomorrow? That's the long view again of what kind of conversation. And it does allow you to focus more and be present in what you're doing. Just understanding that, again, what we do, we're compounding assets into our future. And my kids, they got it. They were like, oh, so how I am and what I do today adds up to rewards maybe tomorrow or consequences the other way. If I don't handle my stuff today, it could be a detrimental consequence later on. And it was great. I saw their eyes capture time for the first time.
That's cool. That was a teachable moment for sure. You know, with your 10 goals, you wrote them in 1992. When you look back at those, are there any that you would change, you know, or do they still hold pretty true?
They hold very true to me still. Now, I will say this. I found that diary entry that I wrote in 92 and looked at it. And in some form or fashion, I've accomplished all 10 of those. Some of them very specific that I'm like, so I was like, holy, you know what? Because I was like, you pulled all these off, but consciously, you never looked at that note of 10 goals ever again after you wrote it. I never looked at that. I wrote it in my diary and forgot about it. But I didn't forget about it, did I?
Wow, no, you sure didn't.
Because I did it.
Yeah.
So subconsciously, they must have been good goals and true to me because I pulled them off. But consciously, I never looked back at that and said, hey, how are we doing on this? Have we achieved this? How are we doing on the way to achieving this? I never looked back. I never looked at them until I found them going through my diaries and writing the book.
So how long was the gap between when you wrote them and when you look back?
Well, I just found them 8 months ago.
God, that's unbelievable.
So 2020, I wrote them in 92, 28 years later, I find this note to self, 10 goals that I've actually, for the most part, achieved. So I was, whoa, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, God. Yeah. So you strike me as a guy that takes inventory. What have you learned about yourself in 2020?
First of all, that when there's a crisis, it became very clear to me with all the things I got going on in my life, take care of the family. Get mom, who's 88, get her here. Don't take a chance. You have the means, Matthew, to seclude yourself and be in solitude and keep the family as safe as possible. And weekly, daily, we are trying to ride this wave of, well, when do we re-engage and to what extent? I don't know. And at the end of it, I end up going, we really don't know. So just rely that stay the course. You've worked hard to be able to keep your pantry full. Now, understand a lot of people don't even have that. You don't have to work today to pay your rent tomorrow night. Be thankful for that, but stay the course and make the safest choice you can for your family. That's pretty easy and clear, even though I'm measuring it day to day, and so far ended up back at that same result. I've learned that, now in America and maybe in the world, the private sector, all the way down to the individual, has more power than ever. We have leadership that we have great distrust in. We don't know what to believe in, literally, where to get what we believe. Oh, the truth. It's actual. Wow, that's a novel thought. Please give me some truth. Can you just give me a consensus? Dr. Fauci, just give me a bullet point list. Just give me some bullet points. Simple. Not a long write-up. It's just 5 bullet points. Now
when it's the truth, it's not complicated.
Come on. I've learned that a lot of it, as much as it is about team, the collective, we really don't do anything unless it's personal. Meaning we can intellectually say, yeah, we should do all this for the world, or even in wars, yeah, we should go off and fight with that. But until it starts to we feel like it trespasses on us or is going to affect one of those non-negotiable things that we have in our life, like family, that's when we really only take action. So I don't know how to make a systemic change to hopefully help people and us, civilization, evolve. But I do believe that it starts with making a personal change. I do honestly believe that each one of us, it takes us looking in the mirror going, how can I be a little bit better today? And if enough of us do that and we can align and agree on the values we can all agree on, which are bipartisan, non-denominational, that becomes a collective. That can become a good epidemic, a value epidemic, where I'm taking more personal responsibility and you are too. And I'm taking more personal accountability and you are too. And we both realize that that's how we get to true freedom for ourselves and for others. So to me, I've just noticed that, hey, times where I thought maybe, trying to keep my pulse on where the world is. Can I put out a message where someone that could help somebody out? Well, I thought some of the stuff I was saying may be obvious. I've had plenty of people go, thank you. I'd never heard that before. I'm like, what? So where consensus and where that we're all going to, when I talk about find our frequency, we don't have one radio tower that we can all tune into as Americans or in the world. We don't have that one tower. We go, all right, we've got difference of opinions, but this one station we can all tune into, right? We can all do that. We don't even have that right now. So we've broken social contracts with each other, which then leads to breaking social contracts with ourselves, because it's like, well, if it's all about me and this is the wild, wild west, hey, not everyone does their truest move. People become tyrants in that situation. But I think we're learning right now, and I'm learning how, yes, the individual has more power than ever before, but at the same time, inversely, we are more reliant on each other than ever before. And those two are not a contradictory idea if you really break it down. There is a place that I'm searching for where what is the most selfish act is the most selfless act. The most selfless act is the most selfish act. The best decision for me is the best decision for we. The best decision for we happens to be the best decision for me. That's the place that I'm chasing that I think we can all get to.
Well, and technology plays such a significant role in this. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, because I think it's feeding this, and you talked about it earlier, right? I think we have a lack of failure tolerance in our world right now.
Right.
And sort of the desire to take risks and fail. That's how we grow.
And it's understandable why we have
absolutely.
Like failure problem right now.
Totally.
You said what? You failed? Watch this. Boom.
Yep.
Delete.
Yep, exactly.
Not only do I laugh at your failure to make me feel better, which is short money, everybody. Remember that? That's short money. Not only do I laugh at your failure to give me an immediate gratification, like that guy telling the joke at the party, but I also illegitimize you, make you persona non grata, wipe you off the face of my earth. That's not a way forward. I say this to youngsters all the time, and those of us that are also online with comments. Remember, those comments that you put on there, they're going to outlive you. They'll be around when you're gone.
They're
right. Part of your eulogy. Think about it.
Yeah.
And understand that putting someone down, gotcha, now you're done, it's not forgiveness. And I think there was an actress who said this months ago. It was like, who do these people think they are? God? She was like, you ain't God. And I was like, that's a great way to put it. It's a great way to put it. And so there's a lot of fear to fail. And hopefully we get to a place where we understand now's a good time for some amnesty, obviously empathy, but some amnesty to go, hey, you know what? I tried. My intent was this, but I understand how it didn't translate that. My bad. I didn't think about how it would land. It's like, look at emails. Look at text now. Good thing we got the emoji to let you know I meant it when I said that. Or else,
right.
I'm in trouble. If I wouldn't have put the emoji, now I'm in trouble. I was laughing on mine, and I forgot you couldn't hear me laughing when I said it as a joke.
It's scary, man. Oh, dude, I hear you. Hey, you probably have never heard this before, but like I could stay on the phone here with you forever.
This is fun.
But you got other things to do. So I'm going to hit you with rapid fire, right? And
okay, let's do it.
You just tell me what comes up. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Night owl.
But you get up at 4, you said earlier, so I'm trying to get my head around that.
I still prefer sunsets over sunrises. I like what goes on. I like what I do after dark.
All right, there you go. Introvert or extrovert?
It's gone both. I used to be such an extrovert. And now with COVID and with the writing of a book, I've become much more of an introvert. So both.
Okay. What's the most memorable sporting event you've ever gone to?
2005 National Championship. University of Texas beats USC Trojans. Pitch Young runs on
I'm
the right
shocked,
side.
man.
USC fans still coming up to me saying, yeah, but he had grease on his legs. I said, how would you know? You got to touch him to slide off of it. Nobody touched him.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. What's the biggest misconception about you?
That I'm not as intentional as I am. That I wake up in the morning and go, hey, what's up? What's my lines? What do I do today?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, anybody that reads your book would realize that is no way.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. I mean, that ain't true. Someone you want to work with that you haven't had the opportunity to work with yet?
Shia LaBeouf.
Okay. A book that's had the greatest impact on your life?
Greatest salesman in the world. I write about in the book. It's a book that found me.
Yeah.
And at a time.
Okay.
And it's so simple. But that would be the one.
I love that book. That's a great book. That's amazing from you that's the book that has made the greatest impact. I mean,
Yeah.
but I found that interesting when I read it in the book. Last time you cried?
Yesterday.
Wow, you cry a lot, don't you? You talk about that.
I try to get one good cry in a week. It's usually in church.
Yeah. Okay.
The one yesterday was I was talking to a group of 750 college students in this leadership council, and they had put this video together of my foundation. And as always, it just reminded me and it hit me, of them, how much they love the program, but then also invertedly, how good I got it, how good my life is, that my pantry is full, that I don't have to pay my rent tomorrow, but there are people out there that are unemployed looking for a job. So it just kind of, it hit me.
Mm-hmm. One thing you wish you knew earlier in your career?
Oh, in my career, the one thing I wish I knew earlier, get the joke. It ain't personal. It's business.
What is success to you?
Success to me, to have created and built a life that will live on after I'm gone.
Mm-hmm. Solar Greenlights.
Solar powered Greenlights.
Solar powered Greenlights. Okay, so one last question. Who's a game changer that inspires you and why?
There's a few, and I'm in this category. I've recently become friends with Mark Benioff. He's the CEO of Salesforce. He's really tapped into an example of almost what a B corporation is that, and it goes back. Remember earlier I was saying, where's what's best for me, best for we? It's companies and seeing how you can really be a successful business with the number one priority being to help others out. And that was always used to be in my mind of something like, oh, well, no, that falls over in the charity or philanthropy place. No, you can be for profit. Doing something and giving a tool to people that can help them be more themselves and succeed is a for-profit idea.
Yeah.
So to see him, I've recently become friends with, see how he goes about and where his mind thinks about that almost naturally. Don Mackey, CEO of Whole Foods, is another guy. His initial intent was to, you have a nonprofit idea that's good for a lot of people, good food, be a profitable business. And so those two are not exclusionary. And those are some game changers where, hey, maybe Austin can become the B Corp headquarters of the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, you are awesome. Thank you for doing this.
I enjoyed that, Molly.
This is super fun. I really appreciate you taking the time. Go Longhorns, baby.
Hook 'em.
All right, man. Hook 'em, baby. You be good. Thanks so much, Matthew. Be safe.
You too.
What an absolutely cool and incredibly humble guy. A huge thanks to Matthew for coming on the show today. Here are 3 of my favorite takeaways from our conversation. Number 1, I love this. Don't half-ass it. When Matthew decided to forego law school for film school, his dad gave him his blessing in 3 words. Don't half-ass it. It's that work ethic and preparation that Matthew has never strayed from. Keep showing up. Stay in the game. Number 2, be less impressed and more involved. I really love the way Matthew talks about this. In his words, he said, the sooner we become less impressed with our life, our accomplishments, our career, our relationships, the prospects in front of us. The sooner we become less impressed and more involved with these things, the sooner we get better at them. Number 3, catch more green lights. And realize, by the way, that the yellows and the reds, they eventually turn green too. What are the choices and actions we can take today so that we can look forward to looking backward tomorrow? Thanks, as always, for listening to Game Changers with Molly Fletcher. If you like the show, be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts. There you can listen to previous episodes and leave us a review, which helps other people find out about the show. For more about me, visit mollyfletcher.com. Until next time, stay curious and be bold.